Yo, what is up, everybody? Let's go back again. Another short story for you guys, written by Vivian Justin. Remember to leave the links in the description below. Show love to them. Like, comment, and subscribe. Story 6, Sky. The city of Monroe woke up to a stormy morning. Rain pounded the windows from all directions. Trees were bent, and the thinner branches were broken. Power was also out in many places. A storm of this magnitude had not been seen in years. Jamie and his family took shelter in the basement living room. The two young children were very scared. Jamie was most worried about the windows and the surrounding trees. The fierce winds had stopped and the rain had stopped, so Jamie and his family went upstairs in peace. Jamie looked at the damage. His house had escaped unscathed, with only some damage to the garden. Jamie stood on the porch. He was amazed at the sky. It was a blood red. Passers-by watched in horror as the raindrops, now red, fell on the road. Everyone immediately looked at his body, dripping red rain. The sky was getting gloomier. Jamie gasped for air. The children ran to him, but he shooed them off. One by one, he stepped off the steps and walked beside the bewildered crowd. He heard everything. Someone shouted that the gates of hell had opened. Others thought the unusual phenomenon was a curse from God because people were living in sin. Someone else wanted to draw parallels with meteorology. The man looked at the blood-colored rain that had gathered in the palm of his hand and was slowly overflowing. He clenched his fists and stared at the rain dripping down his hands, as if it wasn't real. A golden crack, about 1.5 meters across, appeared in the sky. Everyone watched with open mouths. Some people ran away, trying to escape the kill, while others had their feet rooted to the ground. The crack widened, and 4 riders stepped through. The horsemen were covered in a black shroud. Their horses were skeleton. They descended to the ground, and from there, the men fled in a frenzy. One of the horsemen drew a long, sharp sword from under his cloak and made a very eerie sound. He struck the sword against the road, which immediately split in two. Several men fell in. The horsemen pointed their fingers at one man, and they immediately lit up. In a snap, they were reduced to dust. Jamie rushed into the house and with 2 children in his arms, hurried down the cellar. They locked themselves in as he worked to calm the little ones. One of the men in black stood in front of the mayor. He cut him in half with a swing of his sword. Another set the houses on fires. Next thing you know, the streets were empty. The vast majority were already dead. Others were hiding. Then the rider raised his hand to the sky, clapped his hands. Next thing you know, all who were hiding were seized by the invisible force that led them straight to the horsemen. Jamie and the children cried. The force separated them. The bloody rain became more intense, more frequent. One of the riders lifted the local undertaker high into the air, and with that momentum, threw him into the road. The Jamie could see golden colors running down the cracks in the road. An earthquake followed, and the Jamies were held in the air by a force almost demonic. Suddenly, they heard noises in the distance. Most of the survivors looked in that direction. Many people appeared, but they were no longer human. Their eyes were completely black, and blood was gushing from their tear ducts. They surrounded the riders, and one after another, they picked out the men from the invisible force. Jamie looked worriedly at his children. He looked down and saw below him 2 black-eyed men tearing his neighbor to pieces. Body parts were flying everywhere. Jamie gasped for air. With only 5 of them left, Jamie thought of escape, but the force would not let him move. He looked desperately ahead of him, straight behind the rider's cloak. Their black eyes flicked down at the children. Jamie screamed, but all in vain. Jamie had completely lost all hope. The rider pulled him down between them. Jamie was surrounded by the 4 riders, and behind them were the black-eyed men. One handed him a black shroud. After a few seconds of hesitation, Jamie took it. He adjusted it to himself, and everything he knew about the world, everyone he knew, vanished in the thin air, and an unfamiliar feeling came over him. The riders were now 5, and through the crack, they left with Jamie. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our story.